For member statements today, we will hear statements from the honourable members for the districts of Exploits, Torngat Mountains, Stephenville-Port, Baie, Verte-Green, Baie, Terra, and Ferryland. The honourable, the member for Exploits.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in this honourable House to congratulate the Abundant Life Pentecostal Tabernacle of Leading Tickles on their celebration this year of 50 years of good works in the community and surrounding area. I had the pleasure of celebrating this significant milestone with the congregation on June 3rd of this year. The assembly featured an evening of song, prayer, and great food, with representation from the town leadership as well as friends from far and near. Pentecostalism has long been a pillar of community support and fellowship in our province. They have been exemplary in bringing the teachings of Christ to our people and in providing earthly and spiritual help and hope to all of God's children. I ask all honourable members to join with me in congratulating the Abundant Life Pentecostal Tabernacle for 50 years of faithful service to the community. Hear, hear.
The honourable member for Torngat Mountains.
Here. Mr. Speaker, I rise today on National Aboriginal Veterans Day to pay tribute to those Indigenous soldiers who have proudly fought and died for our freedom. Although the people of Aboriginal ancestry from Newfoundland and Labrador fought and sometimes died during the First World War, their histories remain largely unknown. Few documents and little research exist to describe their wartime experiences, and recruiting was difficult in communities such as Nain to Riglet, as news was slow to reach these areas, and many residents did not know that their country had gone to war. Historians estimate, however, that at least 15 men of Inuit descent joined the Royal Newfoundland Regiment. Most served as infantry units and drew upon their hunting, trapping, and other traditional skills to become expert snipers and scouts. Lance Corporal John Chywak was well known for his shooting skills during the First World War. Soldiers like Fred Frieda and Douglas White were active during the Second World War. And I would also like to honour my friend, Henry Gear from Postville, who participated in the United Nations conflicts in Sarajevo. Today, there are approximately 2,300 Aboriginal members currently serving in the Canadian Armed Forces. I thank all our soldiers who have served and continue to serve our country. Thank you.
The honourable, the member for Stephenville-Port.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to pay tribute to the late Danny McCann of Port West, who passed away 2 months ago today at the age of 65. Although confined to a wheelchair since the age of 19, nothing prevented Danny from living an extraordinary life of dedication to his community, his church, his wife Mary, and his family. Danny was an entrepreneur who owned and operated a small business for 21 years. Further, he worked for 33 years as the town clerk with the town of Port West, Agathuna, Felix Cove. Outside of his professional career, Danny was a dedicated community volunteer for which no cause was unworthy of his assistance. As the founder of the renowned Gravels Walking Trail and Development Group, Danny raised money for the restoration of Our Lady of Mercy Church for countless years. He took great pride in hosting and organizing the annual Grand Ole Opry, the annual Christmas concert, as well as the annual Port Agricultural Fall Fair. While he never sought accolades, he and his wife Mary were truly humbled when they received the Canada 150 sesquicentennial pin from N.P. Hutchings this past summer. I ask all members to join me in recognizing and remembering Mr. Danny McCann.
The honourable member for Baie Verte-Green Bay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you only watched Herb Pike during the Remembrance Day ceremony, you will witness the wave of emotion of veteran experiences. Mr. Speaker, I rise in this week of remembrance to honour Mr. Herb Pike of Springdale, a 94-year-old Second World War veteran. Although he had enlisted intending to be a gunner, Mr. Pike ended up getting his stripes as a sergeant and as a result of a shortage, had become a flyer with the Royal Air Force 102 Bomber Squad. He would later climb the rank of warrant officer. Herb was known as a keen and hard-working officer of superior ability. He has been revered as the first pilot taken out Adolf Hitler's ammunition stockpile. He clearly remembers how at 3:30 a.m. on June 6, 1944, on the beaches of Normandy, he was ordered to fly over an area where it was discovered the Germans had taken over an old automobile storage factory. After returning, it was determined that the bombing mission was successful. Today, Herb resides at the Valley Vista Seniors Home in Springdale, and I ask all honourable members to join me in recognizing a true Newfoundland and Labrador hero and a friend to all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Terra Nova.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in this honourable House to acknowledge the outstanding accomplishments of a young lady from my district. Melissa Smith, originally from Elliott's Cove, completed high school in Random Island Academy and attended the College of North Atlantic in St. John's in Happy Valley Goose Bay. In 2007, after learning about Canada's war efforts abroad, Melissa joined the military, where she trained as a field medic. In 2010, Melissa was deployed for a 7-month tour in Afghanistan with the 3rd Battalion of the Royal Canadian Regiment. She was released from active duty in 2015 after being diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. Melissa says anything is possible with the right attitude. She applied to participate in the 2017 Invictus Games, an international adaptive multi-sport event created by Prince Harry in support of wounded or sick armed services personnel. Last month, Melissa competed in Toronto and won a silver medal in the recurve bow novice category. Melissa also placed 11th in the women's midweight powerlifting division. Melissa says her long-term goal is to be on Canada's Olympic team. I ask all honourable members to join me in congratulating Melissa Smith for her service, her courage, and her determination.
The Honourable, the member for Ferryland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognise the 150th anniversary of Captain William Jackman and his heroic efforts of October 9, 1867. Captain Jackman anchored in Spotted Island in Labrador. With a storm raging, he saw a small fishing schooner being battered along the reef about 600 feet from shore. He battled the rough sea to swim to the boat and made 27 trips to the shore and back, each time with a man or woman on his back. The last person he rescued was a dying woman he refused to leave to a watery grave. In 1868, the British Royal Humane Society awarded Captain Jackman a silver medal for his heroic efforts. Captain Jackman's heroism was honoured by the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Recreation in October 2010 under the Provincial Historic Commemorations. The William Jackman story is an event that is both a provincial and national historic event deserving national attention, commemorative recognition, and should be honoured as such an event. Mr. Speaker, I ask all members of this House to join me in honouring and remembering Captain William Jackman of Renews for his acts of bravery and heroism on October 9, 1867. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.